Hey everyone, this is Roland here. Welcome and thank you for being here. And today I want to talk about the importance of waiting on God, for moving when He says move, on seeking His voice in everything that we do. Because there is a story that I want to share that I read, a very interesting story that, I've gone over this story in the Bible so many times. And when I read it this time, Anyway, let me share it. And it's a story of Noah and the flood. And we know the story, the whole earth was flooded and Noah and his family were saved. But now I want to pick up the story after that when the waters subsided. So let's go to Genesis 8 verse 13 up to 19, and it says, in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. So here we see very simple. The waters are now gone. Noah opens the ark and he looks out and he sees that the ground is dry. Let's carry on. And then he says, in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Now this is very interesting because Noah opened the door of the ark and the ground was dry. But we don't read here that there was no stretching of legs, there was no adventuring. He did not step out to see what was going on around him, because it says when he opened the door of the ark, the ground was dry. He could have just gone out, even if it was a few meters, to see what was what in this new world they were in. But he did not do that. And he waited almost 2 months, because that's when then God spoke. If you read that scripture, you'll see it's about 2 months where Noah did not move. He stayed in the ark with his family. And that's when God spoke after that. And that's when then God said to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you. But if you read that passage of scripture, verse 13 up to 19, it's actually about 2 months where Noah stayed in the ark. He waited for God for 2 months, and that's when he moved. How crazy is that? And that really challenged me to say, that's why we need to just move when God says move, and not do our own thing. We need to know God's voice more and more. We need to desire God to direct us in everything we do, and not go out and do our own thing. Because again, how easy would have it been for Noah just to go out and just explore and just inspect and do whatever, but he did not. He waited for almost 2 months to hear what God had to say for his next step, and that's what we need to do. And I want to share another story of someone who did not wait on God's voice, and this was Gideon. And Joshua. And we know his story, and now he's in the promised land with the Israelites, and they are plundering, and God has commanded them to not make treaties with these people, but to destroy them, right? But so what happened? The Gibeonites know what's happening. They see what's happening, and they are afraid. So they have this plan to deceive the Israelites, and they put on old clothes and food that's awful, that's stale, and they go to Gideon, and we read and see what happens. And it says in Joshua 9 verse 14, so the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord. Then Joshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety. So here we see that Gideon, because he did not consult the Lord, made a wrong decision and did something that the Lord had not commanded them to do. And that's why it's so important, again, for us to make sure that we seeking God's voice in everything that we do, that we're waiting on His counsel, waiting on Him to move, and we're not doing our own thing. We're not moving in our own strength. We need to wait on God. We need to move when God says we move. We need to move when God says move. We need to desire His voice in our lives. And that is so important if we're going to accomplish what He wants us to do. And yes, we will make mistakes here and there. But like I said, as long as the desire is there to, God, you speak. I'm not going to move until you speak. I'm not going to just do my own thing. And this is so important. So with that, I've come to the end of this episode. I will see you next week, and God bless.